There's been a heady mix of corruption issues at the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, where the minister has been suspended by President Bola Tinubu for illegally requesting the transfer of more than ₹500 million into a personal account. A number of other functionaries of the Tinubu administration have been caught in the crossfire, including the Minister of the Interior, Tinubu. To look at that for a while, we're now being joined by Bola Bakare, who is President, Truth Be Told Network. Good to see you on Newsday. Now, let's have your thoughts on this issue. All right, it's been going on for some time now. Do you think it's sustainable, and what does this speak of the current administration's on due process?
Oh, thank you very much, my brother. I'm glad to be here. The situation we have on hand, I will advise that we all should look at it holistically. It's like it cascades down from the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs to the officer in charge of NSIPA, and now as we speak, the Minister of Interior, Bumi Tunji-Ojo, is also in the fray. But what I want to say to Nigerians, because that's the essence of the media, educate the populace, not just educate them alone, sensitize them, and then feed them with the right information rather than the little thing they find on all these our common devices that we now call fake news. To start with, excuse me, let us look at the situation on the ground. That is from the Humanitarian Affairs to NSIPA. I would like one thing. I would like the average Nigerian to sit back a little bit and think in terms of cases, like when we have cases in court, we don't discuss it in the media, we call it sub judice. The time is not right for that. Because we know it, that when it comes to information dissemination, there's always that factor of sensation, which is what we sell at times, because we are waiting for the facts to come out. As we speak, the average Nigerian has gotten the gist of what is happening. Like you rightly said, $500 million has been moved to a private account. The ex-minister of the ministry is going through rigors with the ICPC and the EFCC. So also is the current one. But what I'm saying is, I would like us all to sit back a little bit, because we don't have the facts to work with. All we have is just the tip of the iceberg. We don't have all the facts. We need to wait for the ICPC, the EFCC to come out and tell us that, yes, this happened. This is what we have found out. As we speak, you and I, we haven't found out anything yet. All we are listening to is what is on social media and what is the sensation in the news for it. But what I want to do this morning is I want to go a little bit further, because the essence of what we do is to educate the populace. And that has been the case of the Minister of Interior, Bumi Tunji-Ojo. I would like to tell the average Nigerian a few facts, even you inclusive. The average Nigerian is telling us that, Schedule 5 Code of Conduct for Public Servants says if you're a civil servant or if you're a public officer, you have no right to be in business. Just like that phrase we use, government has no right to be in business. That's no business in doing business. But don't forget one thing, which I want Nigerians to listen to and listen to properly. If you want a man that doesn't have a job to be your public servant, then you are in trouble. If you have a political jobber who has no work, that jumps from party A to party B to party C because that is where he gets his
Mr.
money.
Bakare, permit me to interject at this point. Mr. Bakare, permit me to interject at this point. The reason why I am trying to just jump in is, of course, I get what you're saying. Rationally thinking, what you are saying, you might be on point, but the law is the law. It is sacrosanct. And there are no sacred horses, so to speak. What that means is that up until when the law is amended, when you do otherwise, you're contravening the law. And that cannot change. This is personal opinions, personal predilectives, does not change that.
Let me chip in another factor, which I guess you know too. There is something we say about the law. The law is made to be obeyed. The law is made to be repealed. The law is made to be amended. The law is made to be negotiated. Do you see all those 4 factors that we can do with the law? Things happen when situations like this occur, then the people were put there to amend the law will now sit back a little bit and say, oh, there is a little bit of a discrepancy out there. Because my bane of contention here is a man who enters the civil service at age 22 and serves for 35 years. The kind of people we call 9-to-5 people. Honestly, the civil service, they have a commission, they have this and that. They are the ones that are bound seriously by that law. But like you rightly said, the law is the law. I'm looking at the element of it's high time we look at it. Because if we don't have situations like this, we will not look at it. How on earth? Let me cite you an instance. I wouldn't like to use this, but I'll use it because it's my brother, it's my friend too. Why would you tell me, as a man who is an entrepreneur, a professional like myself, and I go into politics, politics says, the rule says, my friend, if you're coming into politics, you have to isolate yourself. You see, that thing was not broken down properly. Isolate yourself from your company. There is no Nigerian who's a professional that does not have a company. And there is most Nigerians that are in politics, that are professionals, they have their businesses behind them. Little wonder, they are the ones that if they serve for 4 years or maybe 8 years, they'll be willing to go back home and go back to their businesses and carry on with life. It is only when you are a political jobber that you don't have anything doing. These are the kind of circumstances that can be laid on the floor of the National Assembly so that this law can be amended. That is the essence of the National Assembly. That is the essence of our laws. Listen to the law, practice the law, amend it when necessary, and then Nigeria can move forward. That is why I am saying one thing to you. The man has a business. Don't let me use your boss. Your boss is not averse to being the governor of a state. Are you telling me if he wants to be a governor, he should close our eyes and disown himself? For God's sake, there are professionals like you in there that will carry on the work. There are staff in excess of maybe 5,000. I don't know. I'm not too sure. And if you watch the domino effect of that 5,000 workers, it might go on to be 20 or 30,000 people. Are you telling him to shut down the place until he comes back? The answer is a very, very big no. All he can do is to isolate himself from that executive factor. I say, I am no longer an executive. The people there can run it. And when people say, oh, doesn't he benefit from the proceeds of the job done? For God's sake, that is his company. He has worked for it. And as a professional, he has a right to eat, to have an income from where his money is coming from. My word to Nigerians, in consonant with what you have said, is simple. The law is the law. But like I said, the law has to be obeyed, the law has to be repealed, the law has to be amended, the law has to be negotiated. Those are the 4 factors of the law, which does not negate the fact that we have to obey the law. But the thing is, when a man, because most of, with due respect, I'm a Nigerian too. Most Nigerians are non-thinkers. We so believe in these our devices so much that we can't even categorize between fake news and information, misinformation and disinformation. We don't even know there is no barrier. That is why we need to educate ourselves some more. Honestly, I'm not just saying this across to you. I'm laying it across to the people we have at the National Assembly. It's high time you look closely at situations like this and say, oh, there is a disparity here. A civil servant that retires after 35 years is different from a man who comes in as a politician to serve for 4 years or 8 years. There is a big gap. But unfortunately, to say what is to go in tandem with you, our law did not give us that definition. And I'm sure at the end of the day, with things like this, because in the media, we don't just say it as it is. We educate the people. We educate the people that are supposed to do the work so that we can have a better Nigeria, my brother. And that is the essence of why I am saying this. Honestly, I'm not holding brief for anybody. But like the name of my civil society organization says, Truth Be Told Network. We lay the truth across. We let the populace judge. And when instances where the National Assembly is involved, for God's sake, we are expecting them to go ahead and do something to repeal it. Part of the 4 factors I told you, they need to amend that law to create a difference between a civil servant, a 9-to-5 person of 35 years, to somebody who is just serving for 4 years or 8 years.
Right.
I wouldn't mind. towing the line of your next question.
Okay, probably because you probably actually said something, because I wanted to ask that regardless of this, a lot of Nigerians looking at how things are actually playing out in government are not shocked based on the fact that we hear these things happen time and time again. But the see-through is where Nigerians are always bewildered, where some of these issues actually die a natural death. Now the question is this. With the government asking people to tighten their belts, clearly there is a rot in the system that needs to be checked. And this has just proven that particular fact.
Of course.
Do you think the government will introspectively look at every facet of its institution and say, let's begin to audit ourselves, let's begin to appraise ourselves, because the leaks are too many? Hopefully we can gather some things to give to Nigerians.
Absolutely, my brother. I agree with you in totality. And I've been saying this for more than maybe 3, 4, 5 decades. There is a systemic failure in our country. It didn't start from this administration, neither did it start 3, 4 decades back. And the funny thing is, in most cases, we just go ahead and repeat the failures. We go ahead and repeat the failures. And like you rightly said, it's high time. It's high time we sit down on the table and start rejigging the situation we have on hand. That is why with this administration, so also, I'm not holding brief for the administration really, because we're just laying the truth across to Nigerians as we speak. This phenomena has opened a can of worms that will make the situation better in Nigeria. Because I normally say one thing. If you're a rigid person, you belong in a cemetery. That's the place for rigid people. But if you're a fluid human being, a human being that is prone to change, that believes in that element of change, this is the ideal situation on hand. Because the ministry has been set up, the rot, like to use your language, there is kind of a rot in it, which you are yet to find out the nitty-gritty of it. But from where we are, the next step, which the Mr. President has moved into, is to say, no, it's high time I run a check about what is going on in there. It's high time I know what is really, really going on. It wouldn't be business as usual. Part of what we're saying, that we've had a rot in the system, there's systemic failure, that is what we call doing business as usual. But I can tell you one thing. Business as usual is not going to continue. And I just remembered one thing that the populace are saying these days, and then somebody asked me about maybe a day back, and said, no, Nigerians are saying the minister, I'm talking about the Minister of Interior, that he should resign. That what do I think? I said, my friend, to start with, he is a candidate of Mr. President. He is a worker for Mr. President. And when Mr. President brought them on board, Mr. President told them that if you do not deliver for me, I am going to kick you out. I am not the kind of person that is going to keep you out for 4 years just for keeping sake. You need to deliver. If you don't do that, you are out. And what I told the person at the end of the day was, Mr. President is seeing what is happening. Reports from the 2 agencies that we have will get back to him. Reports from the panel he has set back will get back to him. If he believes that man should go, he will go, because I wasn't there when he picked him up as a minister. And when he's going to fire him, that will be Mr. President's prerogative.
Mr. Bakare.
He said the situation, honestly, it's like, go ahead.
I would just like to probably, as you actually expatiate on this, now the big question would be, does the president have the political will to institute the purge? Because literally, if he wants to probably go into the nitty-gritties and into the crevices, does he have the political will to do that, to ensure that we can actually plug all these leaking holes? Briefly.
Of course, yes. You know one thing I believe? It would be foolhardy for you to go and ask a bachelor how to run marriage. It would be stupid. In terms of Tinubu, forget the fact that we're both from Lagos. I'm a Lagosian, he is a Lagosian, fine. But I have the added advantage of being able to see what he did in Lagos. And that is why I'm using the kind of analogy of A bachelor cannot advise you about marriage. The man knows his onions. The man knows what he is doing. The man came with an agenda that he called the Renewed Hope Agenda. There is nothing new about it. Hope is something that we all live on a daily basis. If you lose hope, you might probably commit suicide. But if you still have hope, you believe that tomorrow is going to be a better day. And that is why he has said, this is a renewed hope agenda. All the holes will be plugged. Honestly, most of the holes, I can say that to you for free, most of the holes stems from systemic failure over the years. And the time is now for us to have a change. And I am very, very sure Mr. President Bola Tinubu will effect a change, and then all of us will see it. We are not going, you and I, we're not going anywhere. We'll be here to talk about it when the time arises.
You can bet.
Won't you be around?
You can bet. We will be around.
All right, on
we
that
ain't going
note,
anywhere.
On that note, Bola Bakare, President, Truth Be Told Network, would like to thank you for your contributions and for coming to the program. It's good to have you.